The worst alphabet book ever. That's what P is for pterodactyl calls itself. For each letter, the example word is terrible, usually because it begins with the right letter, but the letter is silent. For example, A is for aisle, K is for night, D is for Djibouti, E is for you. In English, every letter is silent, sometimes, except for one, V. Bread, climb, indict, handkerchief, imagine, fifth, gnaw, rhyme, business, marijuana, knife, talk, mnemonic, autumn, jeopardy, pneumonia, lacquer, forecastle, island, listen, build, wrist, faux pas, prayer, rendezvous. The closest V ever got to being silent is in 2017 when the President of the United States tweeted this word, Kofefi? This is what the book does for V. Let's make some Gallinstan. Unlike mercury, Gallinstan is not toxic, and it's a liquid at room temperature, unlike gallium, which is solid up until about 30 Celsius. You have to hold this for a while before it starts getting drippy. No. You deserve a metal that is almost always wet. I'm gonna need this magnifying sheet. It's a bit floppy, but I can just whip out my tools and build it a sturdy frame. The lens can focus the sun's energy enough to easily melt tin. And that's great because by weight, Gallinstan is 10% tin, 20% indium, the only element you can safely chew like bubblegum, and 70% gallium. To speed things up, I used my lens to melt the metals down. They began to amalgamate. Their respective atoms all get in each other's way, frustrating crystallization, so instead of melting at 232, 156, or 30, Gallinstan melts at just 11. I froze some gallium and some Gallinstan in my freezer, and watch this. After just a few minutes, the gallium was still solid, but the Gallinstan was a nice, shiny mirror soup. This is Marion Bataille's ABC 3D, a beautiful pop-up book. It begins at the beginning with the letter A. Now, on the next page, you might expect there to be the letter B, but, okay, where is B? Oh, there it is. The letter C cleverly flips to become D, E becomes F, G spins into view, here's H, followed of course by I and J sharing a dot. K, oh, look at that L. But if you like mayonnaise, you're gonna like this next one, M. N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, and of course W. X becomes Y, and we end with Z. This is probably the most irresponsible thing I own. We've all seen these. Silica gel packets. Do not eat. They contain silica dioxide, a material that absorbs moisture really well to keep humidity levels low. But if ingested, it can cause internal blockages. It can also irritate your lungs and your eyes and your skin. Basically, do not eat it. But what if you want to? Well, my friend Dory, who I've worked with for years, now runs a company called Wask, and they made these. They look exactly like do not eat silica gel packets, but inside, well, they're actually filled with candy. Now, is this irresponsible to have around? Is it a work of art? Is it a comment on humanity's fragility and desires? Yes. Mirrors do not show us a fourth dimension, but they do show us what a fourth dimension could do to us. First, notice that some things are the same as their mirror image, but some things are not. These two shapes are similar, but they cannot be rotated to look identical, to be superimposable on each other. This is called being chiral. A chiral shape and its mirror image are called enantiomorphs. These two shapes are enantiomorphs in 2 dimensions. No amount of 2-dimensional rotations will ever make them superimposable. To do that, I'll need to smash one of them inside out, turn it into its own mirror image, or rotate it in a third higher dimension. If I place a sticker here and face that side away from me, notice that the mirror inverts the object just like a rotation through a higher dimension can. The side of the real object that's furthest from me becomes the side of the virtual object that's closest to me. So what would I look like if I was rotated around a plane in a 4th spatial dimension and then brought back? I would look like that. If you applied a coat of paint to the bottom of your shoes every single day, one coat on top of the other every morning, you would leave Earth just as quickly as our moon is leaving us. Every day, the moon moves about 1/10 of a millimeter away from Earth. It's 3.8 centimeters further away from us every year. That's about the length of an AirPod. The moon is leaving us because the world is turning. The moon's gravity causes the Earth to slightly bulge, but because the Earth rotates in the same direction as the moon's orbit, the bulge tugs on the moon, speeding it up. And the faster something moves tangentially to a gravitational pull, the more successfully it escapes that gravity and the further out it orbits. The moon's equal and opposite pull on the bulge slows down Earth's rotation. And if the Earth and moon survive the death of our sun 5 billion years from now, 45 billion years after that, they will be tidally locked to each other. For half of the Earth, the moon will appear permanently fixed to a point in the sky, and the other half will never see the moon again. Can you draw this without ever lifting your pen off the paper? Probably not, but I'm going to show you how. I love this trick. When I was a kid, I showed this to everyone, and they thought that I was not weird. Here's how you do it. Grab a sheet of paper and a marker. Begin with the dot. Now maintain contact with the paper and stop thinking in 2 dimensions. Grab the corner of the page and fold it into the dot. Now while maintaining contact with the paper, move on to the back of the page, come on up here, come back onto the front of the page, fold the paper flat, and complete the ring. If you smack 2 heavy metal balls together, the energy of their collision will be focused at such a small point, enough heat can be produced to literally burn a hole through paper. Try this at home. It smells like smoke, but let's make it even hotter. First, I'll need to rust up one of these balls. A bowl of water should do the trick. 10 days later, that's a rusty meatball. We'll wrap the other ball in aluminum foil, turn down the lights, put on some ear and eye protection, and start whacking until this happens. Did you see that? That is molten slag at more than 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that didn't happen because I'm so strong, even though I am. It happened because the colliding balls produced the ignition temperature needed for a thermite reaction. The aluminum reduced the iron oxide, the rust on the ball, to form aluminum oxide, elemental iron, and much more heat than I put in. Now that's what I call exothermic redox.